Hello, before we get started on today's edition of the Local Government News Roundup, which is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, a word about the VLGA's mayoral leadership program, a popular choice for mayors and deputy mayors wanting to ensure they meet the Victorian Government's mandatory professional development requirements. It not only provides mayors and deputy mayors with the skills they need to carry out their roles with a high degree of competency, but it also presents an opportunity to foster and strengthen connections and establish support networks at the beginning of their term. Mayors and deputy mayors have until the end of December to complete this training. Places for the tailored VLGA program, which directly aligns with the mandatory requirements, are limited, so secure your place now before it's too late. And now let's get on with today's edition of the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the VLGA with support from Symphony 3. Two Victorian Council CEOs are stepping down. More Victorian mayoral election results. A Wyndham councillor embroiled in a diplomatic incident. A new federal inquiry into local government funding. Pressure to overturn Cumberland Council's drag storytime ban. Parramatta won't appeal a Supreme Court decision overturning a councillor's censure. The Gold Coast's biggest ever development project moving forward. And back to the polls for 5 Northern Territory councils. Hello, it's the Local Government News Roundup. I'm Chris Eddy. Also today,
elevating the discussion about what is a future fit workforce. One of the measures of success for me will be we're talking less about the same skill gaps that we've been talking about for the last 20 years because we've decided to tackle them differently.
LGPro President Sue Wilkinson on preparing for the local government workforce of the future. That's ahead on the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the VLGA with support from Symphony 3. Simple, connected customer experiences. This is the edition of the Roundup for Wednesday the 12th of November 2025, and Brendan McGrath is stepping down as CEO of the rural city of Wangaratta after nearly 12 years at the helm. Mr McGrath will work until Christmas before taking leave in January, with an external recruitment process for his replacement set to begin shortly. In the new year, McGrath will join North East Water as General Manager, leading commercial innovation and digital transformation. His tenure at Wangaratta saw major developments, including the Sports and Events Precinct, the award-winning Ned Kelly Discovery Hub, and the revitalisation of the Railway Precinct. Mayor Irene Grant has praised his profound contribution and lasting legacy to the region. The Borough of Queenscliff has announced that CEO Martin Gill will finish up on November 28th after agreeing to an early end to his contract. He's been with the borough since 2019, and it's understood he had almost a year left on his contract. Mayor Di Rule thanked Mr Gill for his contribution and said the council has engaged recruitment firm MacArthur to find a permanent replacement. Councillor Rule said she's excited about bringing fresh energy to the organisation. An announcement about an interim CEO appointment is expected soon. Mayoral elections are in full swing across Victoria, with more than 20 councils expected to conduct their elections this week. Here are some of the latest results. From Monday the 10th of November, the City of Ballarat Council has re-elected Tracy Hargraves as its mayor and re-elected Ben Taylor as deputy mayor. For Greater Bendigo, a new mayor has taken the robes. Councillor Thomas Prince was elected, with Councillor Karen Kaur stepping in as deputy mayor. Both are first-term councillors. Status quo at Northern Grampians, where Councillor Karen Hislop has been re-elected as mayor, and Councillor Justine Hyde was re-elected as deputy mayor. And a new mayor elected at Pyrenees Shire Council. Councillor Damien Ferrari steps into the position. Councillor Rebecca Wardlaw was elected deputy mayor, with that council choosing to reintroduce the office of deputy mayor this year. From last night's mayoral elections, we can tell you that Councillor Bob Sanders has returned to the mayoralty at Ararat Rural City. He last held that role in 23-24. New Councillor Telly Cower has been elected as deputy mayor. For Campaspe Campaspe Shire, Councillor Daniel Mackerel re-elected to the role of Mayor for a second consecutive term. Deputy Mayor Councillor Tony Marwood there. At Golden Plains Shire Council, Owen Sharkey has been re-elected to the mayoralty. He took on the role partway through last year's term when there was a councillor resignation there. And Councillor Emma Robbins was elected as Deputy Mayor after some debate about whether to reintroduce the office of Deputy Mayor at Golden Plains. And Yarra Ranges Shire has elected a new mayor in Councillor Richard Higgins, with Councillor Gareth Ward elected as Deputy Mayor. Keep an eye on the Victorian Mayor's page of the LG News Roundup website for more results as they come in across the week. To other news, and the Herald Sun has reported on a diplomatic incident involving a Wyndham councillor who allegedly invited Chinese officials to Australia without authorisation. Councillor Larry Zhao allegedly sent a letter on council letterhead inviting 6 delegates for a business trip, claiming it was on behalf of Wyndham City Council. The Australian Embassy in Beijing flagged the letter when the delegates used it to support visa applications. The council has confirmed the letter was not authorised, and Councillor Zhao denies sending it. Wyndham Council said it would not be making any further comment on any potential investigations involving individual councillors. Greater Dandenong Mayor Jim Mametti has expressed condolences after a drowning tragedy that claimed the lives of a woman and child this week. Councillor Mametti made the comments at Monday night's council meeting, after which a minute's silence was observed in the chamber. The mayor also acknowledged the emergency services personnel who attended the scene at the Dandenong Creek on Monday afternoon. Meanwhile, Pyrenees Shire's new mayor has made a statement extending condolences over the tragic deaths of a family of 3 in a car accident at Stoneleigh yesterday. Councillor Damien Ferrari said his thoughts were with everyone affected, including family and friends of the victims and the emergency responders at the scene. Victoria's independent infrastructure body is calling for major public transport upgrades over the next 5 years. Infrastructure Victoria wants the government to increase train services in Melbourne's north and west, extend 8 tram routes and create 6 new express bus networks. Its 30-year plan also recommends making off-peak fares cheaper to boost passenger numbers. Kingston Council will seek a tribunal review of the state government's approval of the former Kingswood Golf Course development. Mayor Georgina Oxley says the council wants to push for major improvements the Dingley Village community deserves. Key concerns include infrastructure design, traffic impacts, loss of native vegetation and affordable housing provisions. The council argues this once-in-a-generation redevelopment will permanently change the fabric of Dingley Village. And Marybeck Council is set to vote on a strict 24-hour cat curfew that could take effect from next April, according to the Herald Sun. The proposal comes after community consultation showed 55% of residents support some form of curfew, with many backing the tougher all-day confinement over a nighttime-only rule. If approved, Marybeck will join more than 40 Victorian councils with cat restrictions. Rounding up more Victorian news in brief, Brimbank City Council has announced the launch of a new Skybus Sunshine Express service between Sunshine Station and Melbourne Airport, departing every 30 minutes, 7 days a week. And it'll be Melbourne's first 100% electric Skybus route. Bass Coast Shire has won a national award for sustainability innovation. Its Circular Economy Business Accelerator program united 12 local businesses to rethink waste and resources. And public toilet vandalism across Campaspe Shire has cost over $7,000 in just 8 weeks. 4 facilities were targeted, including Kyabram's Transit Centre toilets, where damaged toilet pans and basins cost $3,500 to repair. Mayor Daniel Mackerel says the funds could have been better used for community benefits and has urged residents to report suspicious activity to police. This is the Local Government News Roundup for Wednesday the 12th of November, episode number 516, and yet another inquiry into local government funding across Australia has been launched. The House of Representatives Committee wants to examine financial relationships between different levels of government and identify barriers to infrastructure delivery. The inquiry will also investigate workforce challenges and labour practices affecting councils. The committee aims to determine if current funding mechanisms match local government's evolving responsibilities. Queensland's peak council's body, LGAQ, has backed the inquiry, but it wants a June 2026 deadline for reform. It says councils are stretched to breaking point, with costs shifting from other levels of government ballooning to more than $360 million annually in Queensland alone. Submissions for the inquiry are open until February 3rd, 2026. Our New South Wales report now, and the Daily Mail reports that an LGBTQI activist group is pushing to overturn Cumberland City Council's ban on drag queen storytime readings at council facilities. The ban was passed in February last year, despite no requests ever being made for such events. Libertarian councillor Steve Christo, who initiated the ban, is calling on residents to rally against the overturn attempt. Rainbow Cumberland has launched a petition that's gained 275 signatures as of Sunday. The council maintains it's never hosted a drag storytime event and stands by its commitment to diversity and inclusion. Parramatta Council has voted not to appeal a Supreme Court decision that overturned the censure of Councillor Kelly Darley. Councillor Darley was censured last year after criticising the council's $1 million partnership with the Parramatta Eels. The Supreme Court found the disciplinary process denied her procedural fairness. The Daily Telegraph reported that the council has spent $11 million on legal expenses since 2022. Councillor Darley says she looks forward to receiving the public apology the local government minister said she is owed. Division over the firing of Parramatta's Chief Executive Gail Connolly continues to split the council chamber, according to the Sydney Morning Herald. Ms Connolly was sacked barely halfway through her contract following months of mounting tension. The dismissal came at a confidential late-night council meeting after a string of crises, including a damning Supreme Court judgment. Despite her controversial tenure, Labor councillor Patricia Prosiv plans to move a motion recognising Ms Connolly's achievements, citing 81 awards won during her leadership. The Forbes Advocate reports that Forbes Shire Council has appointed experienced senior executive Stephen Dunshay as its interim general manager, following the passing of former general manager Steve Lone, OAM. Mayor Phyllis Miller, OAM, said the appointment would ensure continuity and stability for the council and community, while a formal recruitment process is undertaken for a permanent appointment. Mr Dunshay retired in 2022 but has been available for interim appointments, most recently working at Snowy Monaro Regional Council. Yass Valley Council is holding an extraordinary meeting tonight to consider launching community consultation on a proposed special rate variation. The SRV would secure funding to maintain current service levels and address essential infrastructure needs across the region. Community feedback will be sought through a public exhibition period running from November 13 to December 10th. The council will then decide in January whether to formally apply to IPART for the rate increase. Hawkesbury City Council has pushed back its FOGO bin system from July 2027 to July 2029. The delay will allow time for a groundbreaking waste trial using black soldier fly larvae to convert organic waste into fertiliser, biofuel and livestock feed. The 12-month trial starts next January and could divert 20 tonnes of waste daily from landfill. If successful, the council will seek an exemption from the New South Wales Government's 2030 FOGO mandate. A bronze replica of the sculpture Joy has been unveiled in Darlinghurst nearly 30 years after the original was removed. The artwork by artist Louis Fraser honours inner-city sex workers and marks New South Wales's pioneering role in decriminalising sex work. Lord Mayor Clover Moore says the reinstallation helps rebalance Sydney's public art collection. And on a sad note, former Penrith Mayor and Councillor Pat Sheehy has passed away. Pat was first elected in 1987 and served as Mayor 3 times between 1994 and 2007. In 2005, he was awarded the Member of the Order of Australia for service to local government and the Western Sydney community. Vale Pat Sheehy. Rounding up more New South Wales Council news in brief, Wollongong City Council is seeking feedback on an updated dogs on beaches and parks policy, with one key change affecting orange zone beaches. The proposal would simplify timed access for dogs on leash to before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. year-round. The Kempsey Regional Sale Yards have officially reopened after a $9.5 million redevelopment. The modern facility to support local farmers and the agricultural industry across the Macleay Valley will boost the local economy and create jobs. Griffith City Council will introduce a FOGO collection service from July 2027. Mayor Doug Curran says education will be the key to helping households understand what goes in each bin. And the New South Wales Government has approved an $800,000 funding increase for ICAC to deal with a surge in corruption inquiries. The additional funding will create a fourth investigations team. Support for the Roundup comes from Symphony 3. Their smart glue integration platform allows councils to connect their systems securely, to automate their data flows and to monitor performance in real time. Symphony 3 has recently worked with Murrindindi Shire Council in Victoria to develop a Snap Send Solve connector to the Civica CRM. This connector eliminates the time and cost headaches around manual data entry and speeds up service delivery. The Snap Send Solve connector is available in the Symphony 3 marketplace and connects to common ERPs like Civica, Altitude and Authority, Infor Pathway, ReadyTech and many more. Visit symphony3.com to learn how smart glue can work for you. Let's round up some news out of Queensland, and the Gold Coast is moving ahead with what's being called its biggest ever development project in Norwell Valley. The Gold Coast Bulletin reported the proposal would deliver 40,000 residential and industrial lots across former cane fields in the city's north. Gold Coast City Council has voted to negotiate costs with developers and establish a working group with the state government. A growing flying fox colony in Gympie has the local council considering a property buyback scheme for affected residents, according to ABC News. Homeowners near Commissioners Gully say the bats are causing noise, stench and health concerns, with dead bats found in yards. Mayor Glenn Hartwig says dispersal methods aren't working, and he's calling on state and federal governments to fund solutions. Researchers warn flying foxes are critical pollinators for native species, despite the problems they cause for residents. Bundaberg Council is demanding urgent state action on homelessness and illegal tobacco sales, according to a report from the Courier Mail. Mayor Helen Blackburn has written to the Health Minister calling for increased enforcement resources and transparency around illegal vape shops. The council says regional communities can't tackle these growing problems alone. Two motions at the LGAQ conference called for better funding and accountability from state and federal governments, with both receiving the support of Queensland Council's representatives. And an innovative social housing project at Underwood has won top honours at the 2025 Logan Urban Design Awards. The Queensland Department of Housing and Public Works Development on Cristaldi Avenue was praised for its excellence in responsive, inclusive and sustainable design. Judges highlighted the successful delivery on a sloping site and the creation of homes around a central garden spine. Logan City Mayor John Raven says great design is shaping the city's future and making it attractive for business and investment. Continuing our trip around the local government nation, down to Tasmania, where Georgetown Council has announced the official commencement of construction on Georgetown's new indoor aquatic health and wellbeing centre. The state-of-the-art facility will feature a heated 25-metre pool, a warm water program pool, gymnasium and allied health suites. It replaces the existing outdoor pool that only operated from October to March. The project is jointly funded with $15 million from the Australian Government and $2.5 million from the Tasmanian Government. Huon Valley Council is calling for warning signs at boat ramps about antibiotic use in nearby salmon farms. Health advice urges recreational fishers not to eat fish caught within 3 kilometres of salmon pens being treated with florfenicol. The Department of Health says there's no evidence of harm, but fishers may want to avoid exposure to antibiotic residues. The council wants signs with QR codes linking to real-time updates on affected areas. From South Australia, about 40 holiday cabin owners at Beachport's Southern Ocean Tourist Park have been banned by the local council from using their units over summer due to fire safety concerns. ABC News reported that Wattle Range Council discovered the cabins don't meet 2019 state regulations, with units sitting less than 3 metres apart. It's awaiting an engineer's report next month, but any safety improvements are unlikely to be completed before summer ends. It's believed some owners may appeal the decision through SACAT, arguing their units predated the new regulations. Mid-Murray Council is selling 9 properties to recover more than $100,000 in unpaid rates as a last resort measure. The properties, mostly vacant land, will go under the hammer on November 20 after years of unsuccessful efforts to recoup the funds. Originally 70 properties owed a combined $746,000 in rates, dating back 7 to 14 years, but the council has since recovered $456,000 through payments and arrangements. The District Council of Mount Remarkable has bid farewell to acting CEO Martin Borgas after nearly 18 months. He's taken up the CEO position at the Southern Region Waste Resource Authority. The council has appointed Richard Dodson as acting CEO until Mark Gardner takes up the role in January. To Western Australia, staff underpayment issues and legal matters will be the subject of a special council meeting for the City of Nedlands tonight. The meeting at 5 p.m. will also deal with the approval of 2023-24 audit fees. Nedlands Council is currently under the control of 3 commissioners following mass resignations and the dismissal of councillors by the local government minister in July. And the Shire of Narrogin will celebrate the reopening of its restored historic railway station goods shed with a community event on November 17. The heritage-listed building, originally constructed in 1922, has undergone extensive restoration, including new roofing, guttering and wall sheeting funded by the federal government's infrastructure program. And 5 Northern Territory councils are heading back to the polls to fill 6 vacant positions after failing to secure candidates in August elections. NT News reported the former Central Land Council Chair Matthew Palmer has been elected uncontested to Macdonald Regional Council, despite being ousted last year over controversial statements. Lichfield Mayor Doug Barden is making a comeback bid as councillor after losing the mayoral race with 42% of the vote. Voting opens November 17 at multiple locations across the territory, including mobile polling stations visiting remote Arnhem Land communities. Now for a look at some stories of interest from overseas in our global report. In the UK, Liverpool City Council has unveiled a bold new anti-racism action plan following input from over 1,200 residents and 550 staff members. The plan includes zero-tolerance policies, improved diversity in leadership and measures to counter racial misinformation. A community oversight group will hold the council accountable for progress. The This Is Liverpool campaign launches alongside the plan to celebrate the city's diversity and promote inclusion. Sheffield City Council is grappling with a significant deterioration in its finances, facing a £20 million budget gap, according to BBC News. Key services under pressure include adult and children's social care, SEND transport and homelessness support. The council has implemented a 6-month recruitment freeze and tight controls on non-essential spending to contain costs. Despite saving £4.6 million, persistent overspending continues to challenge the authority. From the US, new figures show Americans are abandoning flood-prone neighbourhoods for the first time since 2019, according to InsuranceJournal.com. High-risk counties lost 30,000 domestic residents last year, reversing pandemic-era migration trends. Miami-Dade County in Florida saw the biggest exodus, losing more than 67,000 people. Rising insurance costs and recent hurricanes were cited as factors driving residents away from coastal areas. Greater Phoenix in Arizona is developing a multi-jurisdictional digital twin to tackle regional issues like traffic congestion, housing affordability and heat mitigation. Route50.com reported the virtual replica will span 5 cities, including Phoenix, Tempe and Mesa, integrating data from Google Maps, local governments and AI systems. The technology will allow planners to test urban development scenarios virtually before committing resources to physical projects. From Canada, Calgary's new City Council has received its first look at a proposed 2026 budget, the final year of a 4-year plan approved by the previous council. Global News reported the budget includes over $300 million in new spending on transit, housing, infrastructure and public safety. It proposes a 3.6% overall property tax increase, with typical single-family homes facing a 5.8% hike. Meanwhile, in Saskatoon, the council is looking at the largest property tax increase in city history, according to CBC News. An historic high of 8.23% is being proposed for next year, the highest increase since 2014. The city says it's needed due to population growth and inflation, as its population is set to top 300,000, an increase of around 35,000 since 2022. And to New Zealand, where Greater Wellington Regional Council has become the second public transport authority in the country to achieve living wage accreditation. That means all council suppliers, including transport operators, must pay staff at least the living wage. Chief Executive Nigel Corrie says it's the right thing to do to improve conditions for the lowest paid workers. And Auckland Council has declared zero tolerance on illegal dumping. As figures reveal, more than 2,000 tonnes of waste is dumped illegally in the city each year. The council issued 599 fines in the past financial year, nearly double the previous year's total. Enforcement includes increased camera surveillance at hotspots, with fines of up to $400 and prosecutions carrying penalties of up to $30,000. It's Wednesday on the Local Government News Roundup, and that usually means Roundup Extra. And today on the program, I'm being joined by Sue Wilkinson, the President of LGPro Victoria and the CEO of Yarra City Council, who's going to share her insights into two critical strategies shaping the future of local government: workforce development and diversity and inclusion. As local governments face numerous challenges and opportunities, these strategies offer a roadmap for fostering a more dynamic and inclusive workforce. Sue Wilkinson, lovely to see you. How have you been?
Good, thank you. Very busy. This time of year is busy for everyone in the sector, so I'm
It is.
not unique.
And, well, I'm doubly pleased that you've been able to make some time available to chat to me about these two major strategies that have come out just recently at the conference there for LGPro, looking at the workforce of the sector and also diversity and inclusion. I just want to say at the outset, Sue, that our audience for the Roundup is well beyond Victoria. It's a national and partly international audience. And I think what these strategies are saying have relevance for the sector at large, not just in Victoria. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. Actually, I think you can pick up some of the trends and the opportunities and apply them across local government globally. A lot of what we do is similar. The challenges are similar. So hopefully it is useful to others.
Yeah, so one of the first things that struck me in looking through these two documents is there are linkages. There's a lot of stuff that links the workforce issue with the diversity and inclusion issue. Why have you chosen to deal with these two issues separately?
So the board is really keen to make sure that what we're doing at LGPro is setting up the sector for future success. So focusing less on where we've been and helping local government to think about what's coming, what are the opportunities, and then, just sharing information and some ideas about research that might sort of invigorate and support the sector to be successful. Diversity and inclusion, the study that we've done, I think it's a good example of, and I want to say thanks to Cam Cahill because he helped with the work, but that's very much about LGPro's commitment to diversity and inclusion and demonstrating leadership. We've got an opportunity as, high profile representatives in the sector, I think, to demonstrate leadership in all that we do. So partly it was about, affirming a commitment to the sector that we were going to do this well and change the way we provide our services and our training and our supports so that they are more diverse and more inclusive, but also then provide the opportunity for the sector to take whatever's relevant and apply that there. So I know at Yarra we've got our own workforce diversity and inclusion strategy. It goes further. We've already done a lot of the things that are in the LGPro strategy, but that won't be true for everybody. And I think diversity and inclusion is important for everyone. The Workforce Insights report is very much about trying to get the sector to lift its head and think about what is coming. We spend a lot of time thinking about the skill shortages we have now. I think it's important that we encourage the sector to say, we know in 5 years' time there's going to be a series of jobs that might not even exist today. And what have we done to think about making local government attractive, making sure that we are able to, those skills are available to us, that we understand what they will do. So it's really about trying to front foot the sector more generally. But you're
So,
right, they're very much connected.
yeah, and if I'm understanding you correctly, partly it's about focusing LGPro's work, but you're also
Yep.
hoping that councils in the sector pick out what they can out of these to help them move forward as well.
Yeah.
So, with the future local government workforce piece, if we were to cast our gaze out 5, 10 years' time, what jumps out at you as perhaps something that will be around in that future period of time that we need to start thinking very seriously about now?
I mean, I think tech is the really big one, Chris, and the role of tech in local government. And it's
AI,
not something that
is that AI part of it?
AI, and then I often give the example 5 or 10 years ago, we didn't have cyber specialists in local government. And now, we've got whole departments of them. AI, I know we talk a lot about AI, but I don't know that we've talked a lot about what it might mean and what opportunities that presents. At a base level, are we growing AI specialists suitable for local government? I don't think we are. So that's one. One of the things I think there's two things that I really like about the report. One is that it takes a regional, really encourages a regional approach. So rather than 79 councils, it looks at different cohorts of councils that might have similar issues so if you're in a regional, it might be different to a metro region. So trying to encourage councils to think about future jobs, future skill needs at a regional level and how you might tackle it regionally. And the other is encouraging us to maybe move towards a skill-based workforce rather than a sort of technical-based workforce, which I find really appealing, so that we build careers within, so people can have multiple careers in the same council, but using the skills that they have, not the technical accreditation.
When we talk
So it's a
about,
different one.
yeah, what my mind goes to skills shortages, skill gaps, and what I see potentially as a really wicked problem. We've got skills shortages now. We've got new elements coming in, such as the tech side we've talked about, that are creating further skills gaps. We're really needing to focus here to get in front of these issues, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, in some ways, I think the skills we're going to need in the future, for example, AI, might assist with addressing some of the issues arising from the skill gaps we experience now. So there's some interesting work happening in planning, for example, with AI that might help offset the increasing need for more and more people. That's yet to be tested, but I think it's creates an opportunity for us to think about that. And the report points to that.
The report talks about also the multi-generational workforce. The workforce is more age diverse than it's ever been, as well as those diversity and inclusion issues we've been talking about. We've got a sector
Mm.
that is dominated in terms of numbers by women already,
Mm.
but we still talk about gender equality in many ways. What does your strategy say about those issues?
So you're right. I mean, on paper, gender equality, the sector is dominated by women, particularly in the metro areas. But the pay gap continues to be an issue, and multi-generational. That's something that I feel like we've been talking about in this sector for a really long time. There's opportunities there that, again, we've been talking about for a long time, but that are crystallized in the report, taking advantage of that experience and making sure that we are investing in that experience. But I also think that we can if we go to this skills-based approach, perhaps using our older workforce, the multi-generational workforce differently as leaders across organisations. having a bit less of a loose role and more of a leadership role, there's a real opportunity there, because we can't compete necessarily for dollars. I think our value proposition, our mission needs to be different in local government if we're going to continue to be an employer of choice. And I think there's ways that we can be working with our aging workforce to help them stay in the workforce longer, because there's lots of roles that aren't physically demanding. People don't have to age out of the sector in the way that perhaps they used to 20 years ago. We just need to value people and help them stay.
Yeah. Was there anything that came out of this work to build these strategies that surprised you, or is it telling you a story that you already well knew?
I feel like, looking at the data, because the data is super interesting. As I said, it's taken sort of 4 cohorts. It's crystallized for me things that I thought I knew but have proven. And there's some data about growth and decline in terms of overall numbers, so that, we've seen a decrease in the overall number, increase in the overall number of people that work in local government over the last 5 years, but a decrease. So you can start to see the effects of rate capping, I think, amongst other things. But you can also, and this is my theory, the report doesn't say this, but I think you can also, when you look at the data deeply, you can see where natural disasters have happened. So, there's been some big growth in places like Towong. Absolutely, that's going to be to do with the 2019-2020 East Coast fires, right? Because that's a tiny little shire that saw a big growth. They will have had to move up and down. And I don't know that we've turned our mind to that roving workforce that goes from disaster to disaster. There's a really amazing, it made me think about it. There's an amazing skill set of people that have experience working in disaster, local government areas that have experienced disasters, that perhaps we should be trying to bottle that skill set and have them as a roving force depending on who needs them each year.
It's a good point, and it's one that's certainly not going to go away. And what occurs to me there, Sue, is that it's something that you have in common with other parts of Australia, particularly when you talk up into the north of New South Wales and into Queensland. Is there an opportunity there to look more broadly as to where we get skills and advice from, do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely, local government in Victoria has always, unfortunately, our first response is to think about what we're doing at our one council. And it takes a lot for us to look up. This report really encourages the sector to take a place-based approach. It's not a one-size-fits-all, and to think about what is going on in a region. So if you're in the Northwest, for example, and they've got a particular set of issues that aren't the same as the inner metropolitan area. They've got, workforce attraction issues that I don't experience at Yarra. Different skill sets needed because of all the energy work that's occurring there. But that's a regional problem, and tackling that regionally rather than the 5 or 6 councils competing and cannibalising each other, I think, is an important thing.
Yeah. So, look, there's a lot in these 2 documents, and we obviously can't cover it all in a few minutes. But what out of this do you think refocuses or changes the effort that Jill Brown and her team at LGPro Victoria are going to be doing in the next few years?
So in terms of inclusion and diversity, I hope that what you'll start to see is a really diverse offer. So training and development in diversity and inclusion and how to embed that in your organisations, but also the people that you see represented at LGPro events, I'm hoping are more diverse, and that we're providing a pipeline of opportunity for people. We also want to work to ensure that there's diversity on the board going forward. In terms of the workforce work, I would like to do this every couple of years, to be honest, just refresh the data set, because I think it's pretty useful. It's a compilation of other work that's been done, but it's a pretty neat summary of what's going on. In terms of LGPro and Jill and the amazing team at LGPro, I think what you'll see is development work that supports the sector to think more about how we might get these skills that we're going to need, and more skill-based professional development, things like resilient, common skills that It doesn't matter whether you work in the planning department or the capital works department or the human services department or the corporate services department. You need to be able to, we need people that are really strong community engagement specialists, project management specialists, strategy development specialists, change management specialists, how we might grow those skill sets more in a more general way. So that's what I'm hoping that we can bring and support the sector that way.
And in terms of measuring, meaningful outcomes from this work over the next few years, what sort of measures will you be looking for to see that it's had an impact?
That is a really good question, Chris. I think this work is never done, right? There's always a challenge being thrown at local government and workforce. I think elevating the discussion about what is a future fit workforce and what is the workforce of local government's future. I think one of the measures of successful for me will be we're talking less about the same skill gaps that we've been talking about for the last 20 years, not because there's a silver bullet, but because we've decided to tackle them differently. So we're not just talking about there's not enough planners and not enough health surveyors. We're looking at tech. We're looking at what are the skills that those people need, and we're plugging the gaps differently. So maybe the narrative's changed a bit. And in terms of diversity and inclusion, that people right across the sector can see themselves represented in the work that we do.
Excellent. All right. They're terrific things to aim for. Thank you, Sue. The two strategies, I imagine, are being broadly shared across the sector, but if anyone wants to find out more about them,
jump on the LGPro website and they're both there. Have a read. Love to hear your feedback.
Excellent. How are you enjoying being the head honcho, the president of the board? You had some pretty big shoes to fill when Liana Thompson stepped aside.
Oh my God, how privileged am I to have this role? I'm really enjoying it. I've been out on the road. I've been trying to get out to the regions just to make sure that people understand what it is that we're doing, and so that we're planning using feedback that I'm getting at each region to inform the work that we do over the next couple of years. I'm having the best time. It is very lucky, actually.
Fabulous. Well, it's great to see you and to chat with you about this work, and I look forward to hearing about its success as time goes by, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Good. Thanks, Chris.
That's Sue Wilkinson, the president of LGPro Victoria, joining me on Roundup Extra this week. That's all we have for you today from the Roundup, edition number 516, recorded on the morning of Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025, and brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. You can find out more about this episode, including the story links, by heading to www.lgnewsroundup.com. The Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We come your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. I'll be back with more on Friday, including a roundup of the latest mayoral election results from Victoria. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3, which has announced exciting news. It's launched its innovative Smart Glue platform on the AWS marketplace. That makes the secure and affordable integration solution accessible to government agencies worldwide. The platform includes over 50 pre-built connectors specifically designed for public sector systems, government APIs, enterprise solutions, and AWS services to transform citizen experiences by breaking down data silos. Smart Glue delivers operational excellence for local governments through cost reduction, process optimization, improved decision-making, and scalable architecture, all while maintaining comprehensive security and compliance standards required by public sector organisations. Get in touch to see how Symphony 3's expanded team and solutions can support your goals. Head to symphony3.com to find out more.